Hey everybody! So I'm facing this way tonight. I'm outside. I'm in Austin and it's snowing. It's been snowing for the past few hours. Look, it's really cool. And y'all up north are probably thinking, why the fuck is this cool? It's really cool because it never happens here and I love the snow. So it's pretty cool. I think it's cool. When you live in what feels like Satan's asshole, temperature wise, most of the year, getting weather like this is fucking bitchin'. So, anyway, I wanted to talk tonight about the first house. Here's the card for it. And the first house, it's the completion in the houses that have affinity with fire energy. This house has an affinity for Aries. The first house is very much, and the ascendant, and regardless of what house system you use, the ascendant will fall in the first house. If you use something like whole signs, it'll fall somewhere in the first house. If you use Placidus, it will fall as the cusp of the first house. So, the ascendant, it sets the chart. So it sets the tone of the chart. And the first house is all about, is all about the sense of self. It's all about the way that you react to the world around you. It's the way that you take the world around you in. Your natural attitude and temperament. Things of that nature. Things like instincts can also be found here. Just very natural reactions. It's also a house that deals with, obviously, self-discovery. New beginnings would also be something that would fall under the territory of this house. So any planets that happen to fall in the first house are very front and center as well. Not only is the sign that rules the first house, or is the ascendant, rules the ascendant, that sign is front and center, but any planets in the first house will also be front and center as well. So it's a very, very, very personal house too, especially in the sense that there's not a lot of hiding that one can easily do in the first, because it is so just there for everybody to see. So then with the appearance, I mentioned this in the fourth house as well, as far as genetics go, and how the fourth house should be included as far as taking that house into account as far as how somebody looks. The first house, absolutely. I feel like the first house is less it is how we physically look. I don't want to say it's not, but it's more the physical stuff that we can change, kind of like how we carry ourselves, how we dress ourselves, how we, things of that nature. It can also be physical things too. Absolutely can, actual physical things that you can't alter as easily. But I do think that a lot of the look thing here, the way you look, it is more in vibe and attitude, and how you choose to carry yourself and style yourself and things of that nature, or not, or how you choose not to. There are now, as far as actual physical looks go, I think there's something to be said for planets that are conjunct the ascendant or conjunct your rising. I think those sorts of planets tend to show more physical things that you can't alter as much. But it's specifically those, or I feel like it's specifically those that are conjunct the ascendant. in the first house. So, but then again, that also I feel like has to do with how we style ourselves and how we, carry ourselves and all that kind of stuff. So then with the ascendant, okay, so let's say you've got your ascendant, it's in Libra. Your first house is ruled, your ascendant is ruled by Libra. So that would make Venus, which rules Libra, is a planetary ruler of Libra, that would make Venus your chart ruler. Chart ruler is super important too. In a very real way, I feel like the chart ruler, I won't say it's the representation of the person, because I feel like that's kind of, I don't feel like anything is completely universal, but I do find that the chart ruler often does show the person well, or a part of the person well. They may not even realize it, depending on what house the chart ruler falls in. But generally, it does. It's very personal too, regardless of what house that chart ruler falls in. It's very, very personal. This is also where the generational planets can become more personal. Generally, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they are not thought of as real personal planets. They are the transpersonal planets. They are generational. They are not typically thought of as real personal. But when they're the chart ruler, and I know some of y'all don't use modern rulership. Some people do. I think it's good to use both, modern and traditional. But if you use modern rulership, and you say have Aquarius as your ascendant, that would make Uranus your chart ruler, or Saturn, but Uranus by modern rulership, and Uranus becomes more personal then. So the chart ruler is super important as far as kind of showing an area of life that might, by house, showing an area of life that might be of particular importance to the person, because that will essentially mean that the first house bends to the needs of where the chart ruler falls by way of disposition. Sorry, I'm getting cold. By way of dispositions. Now, one more thing about the first house. Sometimes I'll get asked things like, what's the difference between somebody who has, say, an Aries ascendant and somebody who has Mars in the first house? Because there is, there is a similarity in the energy, right? Mars rules Aries, so there is a similarity. Now, unless Mars is in Aries in the first house, which would really just, I feel like, amplify Mars and Aries, right? there is generally a difference. Like if you've got Aries rising or an Aries ascendant, you are going to approach the world in a driven way. You are going to approach the world in an independent way, in a pioneering way. You are going to take in the world that way. You might be likely to take in the world maybe a little bit more aggressively, or react a little more aggressively to the world. Whereas, say you've got Mars in the first house, but let's say Mars is in, let's say Mars is in Libra. So you've got Libra rising, but you've got Mars there. So while you still have that drive, a sense of drive, that is Mars, it's going to feel a little different, right? It might be a little bit more balance seeking, or relationship seeking, more harmony seeking. You might have drives towards those sorts of things rather than straight Mars and Aries sorts of things. So it does change things. It is not the same thing to just have, unless of course, and even then it's not exactly the same thing, but unless you're talking about the Mars in Aries in the first house, which is a lot of Mars in the first house, a lot of Mars Aries energy in the first. There is a big difference between having a sign ruling the ascendant and having a planet there that's the planetary ruler of that ascendant. There is a difference. So yeah, I'm gonna go because I'm fucking freezing. But I hope you all enjoyed this. If you haven't already, come join us over on our subreddit, Let's Fuck With Astrology. And you can check us out on Instagram at Let's Fuck With Astrology. I am at Saturn Season Astrology on Instagram, and Natalie is at Adaturno Astrology on Instagram. So I hope to see you all around later.